I see when I look in the mirror a strong woman, a mother of three. I see me being happy now. So let's date back to 2008. That's when I lost my first husband. His name was Bernard. He actually passed away at the age of 28. I was only 23. I was looking at being widowed at the age of 23. I was in a tough place because I felt like I was the only one in the whole wide world that was experiencing this. But I did have my mom and my grandmother that helped me. So March the 17th of 2008, I lost my husband. He actually suffocated on his vomit. At this point, Bernard was doing things that me and him also didn't agree with. We also had disagreements, and in this time of losing him, I felt like I was losing myself. I felt like I was losing myself because I never experienced a death, especially a death of somebody that you plan on being with for the rest of your life, regardless of our ups and downs. Me and Bernard, when we met, it was wonderful. We had a great time. But then when this dark cloud hovered me, I felt myself over time just sinking into depression, where I started spending time on the beach. I spent time at church, talking and communicating with friends and family, because at times I felt like I wanted to be by myself, but nobody would allow it. I always had friends around and family around to talk to, but I knew I had to grow for myself. And then that's when I started loving me. And when I started loving me is when I started forgiving myself, because I punished myself for his death, which, well, he passed. He took some pills one night. He was drinking also. These same friends that me and him has always discussed over the years, I was indifferent with him hanging with them, but he just continued to keep hanging with them and say, hey, babe, this was okay. These same friends found him suffocating on his throw up, but he wasn't able to wake up out of the coma he was in at the time. So he actually passed. That day I was actually getting ready. I was living in Orlando, Florida. I was getting ready for work. Had to have been about 5 o'clock. He actually called me. I was in the shower. I didn't hear the phone. When I got out, his friends called me back and say, you need to get here. He's not well. And I'm like, what do you mean he's not well? So on my way driving over to Melbourne, Florida, I was calling my boss because at this point I was bartending over in Cocoa Beach. So, made them aware of my situation. But everyone just kept pressing me as his family and everyone to get to the hospital. So I'm just asking, is he okay? So I pull up, I get out my car, I see all the family members in the parking lot. I actually see a guy walking towards me, and it almost was as a movie where we see a man with a black tie and dark glasses on, and I saw myself just falling to the ground because I knew he was going to tell me my husband was dead. So actually getting into the hospital, I was able to view him, and I just sat there and cried because I was just like, I felt like it was my fault. Like I let him down. It was me. But then one day, everyone used to tell me, he's going to come to you. He's going to come to you in a dream. And actually he did. And ever since that day, I was able to let go because he showed me in that dream that he was happy. And my husband he was a tall man, 6'3". He had green eyes. And in that dream, I was, how you're a kid and you're always scared of somebody visiting you because you always hear about, ghosts and things. But this particular day, he actually came to me. He used to always kiss me on my forehead. And that's how he came to me. It was a big bright light, and he told me, baby, I'm okay. And when he told me he was okay, it was just like a peace that came over me. And it was just like, because for so long I blamed myself for his death, even though I didn't have any involvement with that. It was just him going against what we always know what was to do was do the right thing, but that day, he happened to end his life. Well, dealing with his death, because let's go back. I have 2 stepkids from him that I met him with. So here I had to explain at the time to a 5-year-old, and then also I have an 8-year-old stepdaughter at the time about their dad passing. It was hard because I was speaking from a place I never experienced. So here you got a 23-year-old here where you thinking, hey, I'm going to live life. I'm going to be prosperous with my husband. And here he's gone and I have these kids to explain to. And it was almost like, once again, where when someone dies, all the family ruckus started. Friends and family that was never around, never really supported him. And they come around and I felt like they did say at times like it was my fault because I should have made him come to where I was. And at times that's when I felt like I dug deeper in depression, because I felt the pressure at a 23-year-old age of losing my husband. Then I have people that stating, hey, you needed to help him. And at that point, it was just, I had to grab myself as, hey, I need to get this together. I needed a solid foundation, especially when you have people looking at you as far as to see whether you was going to move on with someone. I felt like I was in a fishbowl, actually, because I had everyone looking at me to see what my next move was going to be. So for me, I started going to the beach. I started praying. I started reaching out to friends. To me, healing was talking about it. I felt like it's not a day, even up until this day, it's not a day that go by that I don't speak of them, because we had good and bad times, but we had great times. And remembering him in our great times, I felt like it allowed me to heal more, because actually, let's date back to me and him had a conversation 2 weeks before he passed. And he asked me, he said, if I was to pass, what would you do? I say, well, Bernard, I lose it. I cry, I be sad. And he was like, well, if it was you, I had me a girlfriend in a month. So me and him started laughing. And for me, I was just like, he tried me. But here, I was just like, he told me, he said, if I was to pass, I want you to be happy. I want you to live life. I want you to have kids and move forward and do what I know you can do, is be a boss and be an independent woman, who he met. And so from there, I started doing the work. And for some of us, when we don't put in the work, some days was up, some days was down, but I still had to continue to do my work as far as working on myself, start loving me, because I felt like in his death, I lost me. If a woman is in my situation, I tell her, sister, go spend time with yourself. Get a friend that you can really talk to, a friend that, I had friends that whatever I said, they didn't judge me. Whatever my story I told about me and my husband, I had to talk more. Talking helped me to just open up and accept that he was gone. Regardless of whatever was going on, and especially he also told me that he wanted me to cremate him and put him in the sea in Bahamas so he can travel. So that was something that it's almost like, he was telling me weeks prior to his death what to do, and he was preparing me, but at the time I didn't know. So it was a situation where I had to dig deep and think about everything we discussed, because a lot of things to my healing was a lot of things he already told me, and that was the magic in it. Life for me now, I actually have 3 kids now. It's great for me because at first everyone thought I wasn't going to have any kids because I was so career minded. And now just being able, to love life, love my kids, love myself, grow. My growing has just loving me year by year has been the best thing ever. Discovering who I am, how to love my imperfections, how to love my shortcomings, as well as the things that I can, my great attributes I can give to someone or people or things, I just started to, grow as far as, especially I had these little kids now. And even though you move on with someone else, you still grieve somebody else.